I decided. I found this video on YouTube. I'm gonna do for the intro to the main segment. It's like a little 5 minute clip video of Wilhelm screams. It's like just a whole bunch of Wilhelm screams. Yeah.
Lee, change my name to Mr. Kev or Mr. Kevman. I don't care. Or just Kevman. I can't change it on my end.
I changed mine to Mr. Leo.
Yeah.
Kevman.
Thank you.
I'm just Mike.
Lowercase Mike.
So it's lowercase Mike. I don't have a letter.
It's like Mike.
Mike.
All right. So hey everybody, welcome to episode 38 of Films and Fermentation. Tonight we are talking about movie cliches, those film tropes that have been around for ages and seem to never go away. We have a couple little lists about some of those things tonight, and we're gonna do some of our usual things that we normally do. So on this episode, we have a few little announcements we're going to make. It should be a good show tonight. So thank you for joining us. I'm Leo.
I'm Kevin.
I'm Mike.
Make sure you email us at filmsandfermentation@gmail.com. We look forward to hearing from you. Give us some comments, some suggestions for drinks. Drop us a line. Tell us we suck. I don't care. Just send us an email. Visit us on any of our social media sites. We are on Instagram at Films and Fermentation, Facebook.com/Films and Fermentation. We have a website, filmsandfermentation.weebly.com, Weebly. We have a little blog section on there. And I actually started a TikTok page for us as well.
TikTok?
I haven't done any trending dance videos yet. But I do have a couple of promotional videos for the show on there. So,
okay.
So let's do things as we normally do things and talk a little bit about this day in film history.
This day in film history, in 1940, Walt Disney began serving as an informer for the Los Angeles office of the FBI. His job was to report back information on Hollywood subversives.
Oh, geez. So he was part of the blacklist then.
He was blacklisting people.
That was the McCarthy blacklist. Yeah, I didn't realize Disney was a. He was very worried about the communists.
Well, they're anti-Mickey.
Yeah. Oh, that's a weird one. I saw it earlier and I was like, holy shit. McCarthy era, and that lasted for a long time. That blacklist era.
Oh yes, it did.
And your fun fact.
Drink fact. The world's oldest known recipe is beer.
Okay. I feel like I read this somewhere before.
I've read it several times and just
I feel like I've seen that somewhere before. I'm trying to find what was the first original beer recipe.
I would have thought the oldest recipe might have been something like wine. It just seems easier to like.
Well, this is the oldest known recipe, so this is the most they can actually date. They found and dated.
Yeah. Although I think the wine thing made sense to me too, because you figure it's mentioned in the Bible so much.
Yeah.
I've never heard beer mentioned in the Bible. Jesus multiplied the beer.
And John the Baptist really liked his pastry stouts.
He changed the water into beer. It was not wine.
St. Peter was like, what the fuck's with the IPA, Jesus? First beer recipe. Let's see here. A 3,900-year-old Sumerian poem honoring Ninkasi, the patron goddess of brewing, contains the oldest surviving beer recipe, describing the production of beer from bread made from barley. In China, residue on pottery dating from around 5,000 years ago shows beer was being brewed using barley and other grains. Wow.
Samaria was way before the Bible, so.
Well, Samaria, that's just following Mesopotamia and the early civilization. So even the earliest known civilizations were getting fucked up.
Well, I bet you it wasn't an IPA either.
It was a lager, like God intended. It
could have been a wheat beer too,
It's the 12th commandment. Let there be lager. Saison. The Sumerians are like, I enjoy a good coffee port.
You have a Kolsch. There are no bananas yet.
Mesopotamia likes their chocolate ports.
Yeah.
The Mesopotamians like their domestic stuff. They like regular beer.
And an added fun fact is, even back then, they needed to give them fun names for people to want to try them.
Yeah.
Ooh, Sodom and Gomorrah ale.
The Babylon Bosch. They should do that. Come up with some. We add it to the Quaker Rage lineup. You got the Babylonian Bosch, the Sodom and Gomorrah ale. What is it?
King Solomon Saison.
Yeah. The Prophet Isaiah IPA. Adam and Eve's hard apple cider.
Lazarus Lager.
Lazarus Lager. Yeah, it's got a nice rising head on it.
Yeah.
Oh, we're all fucking burning in hell.
Just from, I thought we were doing that before the night.
I'm already. Oh, God,
He's already being struck down.
Choking on my drink. Just made my eyes tear. I just accidentally turned a video game on my other computer. Hold on. And I have no internet connection on my other computer, which is odd considering I am sitting right next to my router.
Somebody needs an Ethernet cable.
I have my Mac is plugged into the Ethernet. That's how I'm able to do the Zoom. Oh, here we go. Look at that. Fucking ridiculous. I had to get my my link here set up. Here we go. So, some notes from the last show. Last show was about fan theories, and we have a true fan theory here. And I'm sorry to spoil this for you, Mike. I just realized this afterwards. You haven't gotten to this season of Game of Thrones.
All right.
But the true lineage of Jon Snow on Game of Thrones, many people were speculating that for seasons, and then it was actually confirmed in the final season. Jon Snow is a Targaryen.
I figured.
Finds it out after he fucks his aunt. Danny Targaryen. We people out there in the world of podcasts who listen to us, hopefully you were out there listening to us. We have some good news. We are now on Apple Podcasts, formerly known as iTunes. It was a long, strenuous journey, but we finally made it there. We are also credited on IMDb now that we've had a year under our belt of doing podcasts. So we're growing there on the interweb community.
We just need more listeners.
Yeah. So, Mike, you had a shout out there you wanted to give today?
I want to give a shout out to a friend of the show, Harry. He works part-time on the weekends for Sunken Silo Brewery. He is passing our name along to the brewery.
Oh, cool. Where's Sunken Silo at?
Up near Flemington.
Okay. That's cool. So we got a friend of the show, Harry, out there at the brewery passing our cards out and getting some traffic for us. That's cool. Thank you. I also like to give a shout out to all the veterans out there because as of the recording of this program, it is Veterans Day. Thank you. Thank you to all the vets out there. Thank you for your service.
Thank you, Michael.
And thank you to our friend Michael, who is a veteran himself.
No problem.
Yes. Germany will never be the same.
Or Antarctica.
The beer in Germany.
Mike was having flashbacks.
The good kind. Only the good kind.
So it's no secret that one of my favorite movies of all time is Clue. I've
The
talked
flames.
The flames. Talked about it a number of times on the show.
Communism's just a red herring.
Just a red herring. I'm gonna go home and make love to my wife. Monkey's brains, though popular in Cantonese cuisine.
I'm a plant.
I thought they called people like you a fruit. So this is a website I came along. One day I was trolling around on the web and found a website that had some small but clever details from the Clue film that enhance it on every viewing, it says. So I actually, some of these I knew about, but some of them I didn't notice till I read this. So one of them is that in the board game's rules, no character can be in the hallway at the same time. Every character's got to like be in a room or something. So when you watch the movie, anytime the characters are in the hallway together, they're always bumping into each other because they're not, in the board game rules, they're not supposed to be there at the same time. At the beginning, when they pull up in front of the house, each character is driving a car that matches the color of their name.
Oh, cool.
Miss Scarlet was in a red car. Colonel Mustard has a car that has like a yellow mustard color to it. A clue in Clue sets the exact date of the movie. So the movie is set in the year 1954, and we know this because the cook, Mrs. Ho, is watching. Are you ready for this? The House Un-American Committee trials, which ties into our Walt Disney fact from the fun fact of the day. She's actually watching the McCarthy trials on the TV. The mansion is filled with paintings of murdered presidents.
Oh,
so if you look in the background of a lot of the rooms, you'll see like Lincoln's in one photo, and then there's who else? Garfield in another one. So anybody who was like murdered when they were president. Professor Plum's comment about the police arriving in 15 minutes pays off exactly 15 minutes later. So at one point, Professor Plum says the police will be here in 15 minutes, and 15 minutes later, that's when they show up. And that's the scene where Herman Hesse, who's pretending to be the Jehovah's Witness, is actually the chief of police when he shows up. Wadsworth mentions at one point during the movie that the cook was Mrs. Peacock's cook in Washington, D.C. And I never noticed this till I read this fact, but in the scene where she's preparing the meal, Miss Peacock looks up and Wadsworth stands in front of the cook to block her from view so that neither character sees each other because they would recognize each other and that would kind of ruin the setup. Yvette, the French maid, is not actually French. And we know this because at one point she speaks with a normal accent, American accent. It's like right before she's murdered. She also uses random French words that don't really mean anything. Professor Plum's job hints at his possible guilt. In Clue, Professor Plum works for the World Health Organization, a branch of the United Nations organization. The letters of those organizations spell out, you know who. There's a clue in Clue above the fireplace mantle. There's like a saying in Latin that kind of like says something about who the characters are. So all these like little like things that I thought were kind of cool because I've watched the movie a million times and there's some things I never noticed. So that was my thing. Let's talk about our drinks this evening, gentlemen. Who would like to go first?
I'll go first.
All right, go ahead.
I am drinking, what was it called? A Shine and 7.
The Shine and 7?
Yep, that's what they call it on the website. It is Old Smoky Blackberry Moonshine and 7-Up.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Moonshine and 7-Up. Sounds good. I'd buy that for $1. What do you got going, Kev?
I am drinking a Hardywood Farmhouse Pumpkin. I'm not sure if you can see it. There you go. From Hardywood in Richmond, Virginia. It is a 8.5% alcohol by volume. Wallonian style farmhouse ale brewed with pumpkin and spices.
That seems pretty potent for a pumpkin ale.
Yeah.
It does.
Sounds good though.
Yes.
So I decided to do a theme drink tonight. So since our episode tonight is on movie cliches, I figured I might
shaken, not stirred.
No, I figured I actually thought about that but I was like, I'm just gonna do a drink that's as cliche as the movie Cliches. And what could be more cliche than just a simple Jack and Coke,
Sounds
but
good.
with a twist? I was going through these little. I had these like little mini, like Jack bottles, like the ones you get in like the mini fridges.
Yep.
And I found this one in
On
there.
airplanes.
Yeah, it's Jack Daniel's Cinnamon Spice Tennessee Fire.
Mm.
So I said, I'm going to do a Jack and Coke, but I'm going to put a little twist on it. So I threw the cinnamon Jack in there, and man, it's really good. It actually tastes like Dr. Pepper.
Ooh.
Like it's dangerously non-tasting like alcohol. And this is my second little bottle. I have one more to go. I got started early. All right. So tonight, this evening, we are talking about movie cliches. So I had a site out there I found called 100 Movie Cliches from a website called denofgeek.com. And we went through the list a little while ago and kind of just picked out a few. We're not going to go through all 100, obviously, but we kind of picked out ones that we liked. So what I figured we can do for this is I'll read the cliche and we'll try to name some movies that come to mind when we hear that cliche. And then to throw in a little challenge, can we think of any movie that subverts that cliche?
Also,
does the opposite.
some of the cliches I got was from the Netflix.
Okay. Oh, from the series.
Yeah,
the inspiration for this came from the Netflix special Attack of the Cliche, hosted by Rob Lowe. It's a little 1 hour special on Netflix right now. I suggested everybody out there check it out. It was a really cool show. So my first one here that I found is that, and I actually, this popped in my head because I was watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine the other night. And even though that's a comedy cop series, they use this cliche as well. And that's it on cop shows and even in cop movies. No one ever refers to each other by their first name. It's always like a last name thing. Like even in Lethal Weapon, he never calls Mel Gibson by his first name. He always just calls him Griggs.
Yes, but Riggs does call him Raj.
Yeah, but I mean, just think about how often though, like you watch a movie,
yeah,
or watch a TV show or something, and they just go by last name.
Beverly Hills Cop's good for that, with all the last names.
Yeah, and I was thinking of like CSI. They never called them
Stabler and
Gil. They always just called them Grissom.
Grissom.
Yeah.
Like you watch that NCIS show, don't you, Mike?
Gibbs. Yep.
Yeah, they always call him by his last name, Gibbs. Yeah. So that's one that kind of like popped in my head. I don't know too many examples. I think where they would come to mind though of like an anti-cliche where they don't really do that. I kind of feel like it's probably like a cliche that exists because it's probably a real life thing too.
Right, because usually everybody goes by their last. It's like a military organization. Everything's by the last name, officer such and such.
Because that's what's on the badge and all that stuff. Yeah. I like this one. If a person knocks another person out and takes their uniform, it will fit perfectly, irrespective of their size, sex, or even species.
Rogue One.
Rogue One. Yeah.
Yes, but
yeah.
in Raiders of the Lost Ark,
Ark.
when Indiana Jones knocks out the Nazi, it's too short on him.
Yeah, that was the.
Well, there you go. That's your like anti-cliche.
Yeah.
Which is funny because Indiana Jones is a movie that has a bunch of cliches in it because it's based on so many other movies that are like it. I thought of Star Wars, the original New Hope, when she says to him, "Aren't you a little short for a stormtrooper?" So
that's an anti one.
Well, it's an anti one, but at the same time, he is still able to wear the uniform, so like it kind of fits him in a way.
Yeah, but it's just too big on him because he can't see out of that helmet.
Yeah, and it totally ruined his shots. I mean, everything he shot at hit.
Yeah, he hit all his targets.
He hit all his targets.
Stay on target.
Not working for him.
I thought of also when it said irregardless of species as well. I thought of Spaceballs. When Lone Star and Barf steal the Spaceball uniforms. It fits John Candy perfectly, even though he's got the tail sticking out the back. Any other examples that come to mind? I can't think of anything else off the top of my head right now. but it is
or Star Wars ones.
Probably a lot of it's Star Wars, yeah, but it's probably like spy movies too. You'll see shit like that. Dying people always live long enough to say something moving or significant.
Yes, like in Doctor Who.
And that all the doctors
Face
always
of-
had one last line.
Was the face of what was his name? The
Face of Bo.
Yeah.
Yeah, his last line was there is another doctor, or there's another, or something like that. Or
I just met the master, so
you're not alone. Yeah, the master.
I just
Yoda.
Yoda
Has enough time to let them know that
is
another sky.
First time I saw that was in the theater, and I was like, "The hell he say?" Hard to hear. And I was like 7. I was like, it was like, I don't know what he said. My dad was like, I don't know. I only get the first time I learned what he said was like I watched it at home with like subtitles. Oh my god. I also think of like the one where like in a Schwarzenegger film, every time he kills somebody, there's always a one-liner.
Yeah.
I got a good one for the person that dies that has something significant to say.
What's that?
Untouchables.
Yeah.
What are you prepared to do?
The bookkeeper.
But that's not his last line. His last line is, "What are you prepared to do?"
Yeah, but he lived long enough to tell him something, then say that.
Mhm.
Also in the Amazing Spider-Man, when Gwen Stacy's dad, who's the chief of police, is dying and says, "Just stay away from her, leave her out of it."
And then she gets killed in the next movie.
So do we have?
He didn't stay away. He didn't leave her out of it.
Here,
So
I
do we have an anti-one?
got one for you. I am Iron Man.
Mm.
But do we have? Yeah, that's not an anti one. Would you? Yeah, I guess it would.
No, that's it. That's
No, that's
saying one before you die. Yeah. Or Spider-Man getting dusted in the previous movie. I don't want to go.
Did you say you had an anti one there, Mike?
Yeah.
What's your anti one?
I didn't ask if we have one.
Oh, do we have one?
Oh.
I can think of one.
Yeah.
No, there is one on the it's on the tip of my tongue. I can't think of it right now, and the main character really gets upset because they go. I think they're shot, but as the person's about ready to divulge everything, and they go, "No, why did you do that? They were about to give away everything."
That happens in the new Suicide Squad film. The new one. One of the character, the Javelin character, gets killed, and he's handing his javelin over to Harley Quinn, like bequeathing it to her as he's dying. And he's like, "Remember this one thing about my javelin." And then he goes, dies, and she's like, "What's the one fucking thing?" And like, she's not even upset that he's dead. She's annoyed that he never finished the sentence. I can't think of any other ones that are like anti though. That's a hard one.
Yeah.
It's a difficult one. I mean, there's so many where it's like something moving or significant beforehand. I think of Deadpool too, where like he's dying, and then he's like, but he doesn't die, and then he's dying again. He's like, "Boy, it's so hard to go." It's wait, I can see it. It's getting darker. Yeah, sun's going low on the horizon. And then the next one is, of course, the Wilhelm scream.
Yeah, I don't think there's an anti one for that one either. It's in every movie.
The anti one is the Disney version of it. It's the
That's goofy.
Yeah,
that's a goofy scream.
The goofy scream.
I would love for somebody to take Wilhelm screams and superimpose the goofy scream on top of them, like the actual movies.
So when the stormtrooper falls off the bridge in New Hope, it's like, or the original Wilhelm scream was a guy getting hit with an arrow while he's riding a horse.
Or the Nazi being thrown out of the back of the truck from in Raiders of the Lost Ark. Yeah.
That'd be great.
I think that would make for a very entertaining video.
So I was gonna say, like, a Wilhelm scream, like examples. Yeah, every movie ever made since the original Wilhelm scream.
Pretty much.
It's actually become a running joke in Star Wars because it's in every Star Wars film at some point. I said earlier, I said the intro to this segment is going to be a compilation video of Wilhelm screams, so you get to see some examples later on. This is a good one. My next one. When the hero destroys something in a spectacular explosion, he never watches his handiwork. He's either walking or driving away, looking in the opposite direction.
Oh, Wolverine Origins. An entire helicopter crash.
Every Fast and the Furious movie.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much any Arnold Schwarzenegger movie.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, every Rambo movie, any Sylvester
Was it
Stallone
Desperado
movie.
with
It's Antonio Banderas and Salma Hayek are walking away from the explosion.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always like everyone walks so cool, nobody cares, nobody gets knocked over by the explosive, like the blowback from the explosion. Trying to think of, like, is there an anti one to that? There's definitely got to be an anti one to that somewhere.
Yeah, I just can't think of one where the hero's watching the explosion the whole time.
For those people out there listening to the show, I said earlier, we have an email. Drop us an email if you come up with your own examples of these cliches that we're talking about, or if you can think of an anti-cliche to negate the ones we're talking about. I'd love to hear from you. We can put it in our show notes for the next program. But that's one that's like so many movies where
that also seems like it would be something that came out of Deadpool, because Deadpool breaking the fourth wall, it seems like any movie cliche would at least be identified and addressed, like when he talks about the superhero, landing. Oh,
superhero landing.
Here comes.
Superhero landing.
She's going to do it. She's going to do a superhero landing.
So rough on the knees. I got the anti one for that. Is when Yelena Belova does it in Black Widow, and then she gets up and she goes,
Hey, when she said something in the documentary on Netflix, she won't do what was it? No love scenes with a bra, and she won't do fight scenes with high heels. Like, bra. Hey, I want to see that one.
I just lost my train of thought. I had something I was gonna say. Fuck. Yeah, I totally lost what I was going to talk about. Never mind. I'm sure it'll come back to me at some point.
Let's move on then.
Given an easy opportunity to kill the hero, a villain will decline and justify this by suggesting that they might be useful at some other point, which they never are. Most James Bond films, I would say.
Not much, some of them.
A lot of them are. Well, the anti one is Goldfinger. Where he's like,
die.
No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die. I love that. That's why it's one of my favorite of the Bond movies. Because I have a second one here. So I have the villain will decline to kill the hero because he might be useful, or the villain will monologue his plans before killing the hero.
That's every James Bond movie.
A lot of movies.
I just thought of the movie I was thinking of.
What?
And this actually fits in better with number 7 on your list. Villains always monologue. Mm-hmm. It was Star Trek: The Undiscovered Country, where they're transported just before
Yes, that's right.
Yes, the prison guard divulges everything. It's like, no.
He was like just about to say who was behind the whole thing, and he gets beamed up. And he's like, no, to Spock. He's like, we almost had it. And Spock's like, would you like me to send you back? No, we're not sending back. I love, I think about Undiscovered Country is kind of like a side conversation here. But what I love about Undiscovered Country is it's got this like element of like detective story in it that a lot of the other Star Trek films didn't really have.
Yeah.
It also talks about the original Shakespeare and the original Klingon too.
Yes. Talk Bay.
That was some of Christopher Plummer's best work.
Oh, I loved him as was it Kang was the name of the guy? I think it was Kang. The name of the villain. And then he had Red Foreman from that '70s show as the president of the United Federation of the Planets, wearing the craziest white wig I've ever seen. far as villains monologuing their plans, I got a really good anti one. It's Syndrome in The Incredibles.
Yep.
He starts monologuing and then catches himself and he's like, "You caught me monologuing." Yeah, I mean that's it's one that's probably been around forever. Mike has here women running in high heels.
Jurassic World.
Yeah, Jurassic World is the first one that pops in my head because I remember like Bryce Dallas Howard talking about it in an interview. That's like she outruns a T-Rex that I think like scientists say that its body structure suggested it could have run at like 40 miles an hour or something. So yeah.
So you also got Batman Returns with Catwoman.
Yeah, Catwoman fighting in high heels and running in high heels and kicking in high heels. I think a lot of like the female superheroes have like the high heel thing going.
Yeah.
I had one and I just lost it again.
What, for anti?
Yeah, no, for like an actual example of somebody running away in high heels. Probably like actresses in horror films running away from.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. They just need a sensible pair of flats. A pair of Skechers.
Pair of Crocs, maybe. Like,
that's right, Crocs. That's it.
Nice Croc or Uggs.
I could run forever in these things.
I think an anti one would probably be Harley Quinn in any of her movies. I don't think she's wearing heels.
I think she is in the first Suicide Squad film. I think the boots that she's wearing has heels on them or something.
I don't think she is in Birds of Prey.
She's not in Birds of Prey, and she's not in the new Suicide Squad. She wears combat boots. And I think it's because Margot Robbie at this point has a little more say in the character than than the butt cheek outfit they had her wearing in the first one. She didn't have as much sway. Never ending bullets except at the worst possible time.
So like in the middle of the movie, the good guy runs out of bullets, he gets captured. In the movie, the bad guy doesn't have the bullets because that's when the good guy shoots him.
You think of like Rambo. Expendables, Jesus.
The Expendables is like, where did all this shit come from? You flew in on a tiny plane.
The only thing not expendable were the bullets. Like they just never ran out of them.
I do like how Mel Brooks took that and no, it wasn't a Mel Brooks. It was the ones who did Hot Shots Part 2.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, they make a joke about that.
They make a joke about it. He's got he's up to his waist in bullet casings from shooting.
And there's like a scene. I think it's either Hot Shots Part 2 or UHF with Weird Al Yankovic. I think it's UHF Weird Al Yankovic. He's daydreaming about being in Rambo, and he's wearing like the fake muscle costume and all that stuff. And he's got the bow and arrow pointed at the bad guy. And the bad guy is standing like this close to him and firing an automatic, like an Uzi at him or something, and nothing's hitting him. Like none of the bullets are hitting him. But he's just standing there aiming the arrow at him.
I remember a scene, I can't remember the movie, where the bad guy and the good guy are talking about, you're out of bullets. And he's like, no, 1 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 1.
Clue.
Was it Clue?
That's Clue. Clue. That's Clue. Where like they're trying to figure out if there's any bullets left in the gun.
Yeah.
I thought it was Dirty Harry.
Dirty Harry's line was always,
I know what you're thinking.
I know what you're thinking. Did I fire 5 shots or 6? Yeah. Well, you got to ask yourself, do you feel lucky? Yeah.
But do you?
It's the he carries the 45 caliber around, which is a 6-shooter. And he's like, did I fire 5 bullets or 6?
Another trope for that, for about guns and bullets, is there's always an old cop with a 6-shooter and a young cop with an automatic.
It's just been revoked. I'm thinking of the Family Guy episode where Brian and Peter are trying to save Lois or something like that, and they burst into a room, they shoot a bunch of bad guys with their guns and all that, and then Peter yells out like a catchphrase that has nothing to do with the situation.
I think he did just been revoked.
He goes, it's just been revoked, and he's like, Peter, that doesn't make sense in this situation. He goes, okay, I have a better one. He goes, what is it? I'll have what she's having. I thought of an anti cliche thing for the bullet thing, and this is why I like these movies so much. It's the John Wick films.
Mhm.
If you watch the John Wick films, man, like he did a lot of like training on how to use the different guns in the film, and he's very accurate with it. And I've even seen videos with like military like sharpshooters and gun experts talking about how accurate it is, how he uses the guns. Like, there's one scene where he's using a gun that's like notorious for jamming, and before he shoots it, he does this thing where like he checks it to make sure it's not jammed before he starts firing. He's always running out of bullets, so he's like taking them from the guys that he's killed because he needs the ammo. So that kind of subverts it a little bit. Although it starts a new cliche in that he's got about 800 headshots in every film. The montage. I was
We're running out of movie. We got to put a montage in here.
Like we need to pad the runtime. Karate Kid's the first one that pops in my head. There's the
Rockies. The
Rockies are all about montages. I was listening to a show the other day, or a podcast or something the other day, and they were talking about Rocky. It's the one where he fights Drago. Is that Rocky 4?
4, yeah.
So I think they said 40% of that movie was montage.
I think it was on the show.
Was it on the Attack of the Cliche?
It was a third of the movie.
A third of the movie was montage.
Yeah.
There's like a million montages in that film, like him lifting tree branches up and running through the snow, and Drago's,
Well, the original Rocky the original Rocky movie with him running up the stairs and running through South Philly and doing all that. It's a big montage. It's like the king of all montages.
That's pretty much a montage, yeah.
Where he's drinking the eggs.
Yeah. Chasing the chicken around. Beating the meat. The montage. I don't think it's possible to have an anti-cliche for the montage.
Just not have a montage in the movie, but
I think like Deadpool maybe made fun of the montage thing at one point.
But yeah, I don't think there's an anti-montage. You can't have a montage.
Montage is like it's one scene to just.
Didn't he even have a montage in the first film with where he's calendar girl?
Well, there's the calendar girl thing, which is
montage. Yeah.
That's Adrian's favorite montage.
That's where she stops watching the movie.
And then there's the one where he's looking for Francis, and you see him like just killing all these random people. He's like, "You're about to be killed by a Zamboni."
I love that one.
I'm gonna run you over in about 10 minutes.
Where's Francis?
Is this sexist? I mean, should I be hitting you right now? I'm so confused.
The creators of South Park made that American.
Team America.
Team America with the montage, but it was making fun of montages at the same time.
There's the song that plays in the background is called The Montage. You hear him singing, he's like, "It's a montage."
So is that anti-montage? Even though
time for a montage. I think you could call that like a montage satire. That's a great movie, man. Team America. America, fuck yeah. Graveyard scenes, the person from a distance watching the funeral. So you always have like that main character, like, so I they made fun of it in it was the Attack of the Cliche show.
Yeah.
That in the Fast and the Furious film, you have a guy watching a guy from a distance, watching a guy from a distance. It's like Vin Diesel's up on top of a hill watching Paul Walker from a distance, who's watching the funeral
from a distance. One of your favorite John Wayne starts off that way.
Okay.
That's a Katie Eller. John Wayne's watching his mother's funeral from a distance.
Yeah. The Departed, I think, has a scene like that.
Spider-Man, amazing Spider-Man.
Any movie where like the cop's partner gets killed, the cop's always off into the. Mr. Holland's Opus does it. There's a scene where he takes one of the students to see a former student who was killed in Vietnam, and they're like in the distance watching it.
Yeah.
A
Um,
movie that doesn't do that with a funeral scene.
well, I got another one for you too. It's like every funeral in the movies, it's raining.
Mm.
Almost every funeral, it's like raining and everybody's got a black umbrella.
Because it's supposed to be a sad moment. And God's crying because of it.
That's crying. It happens in Daredevil. It happens in Hellboy. It happens in The Watchmen. It happens in there's a bunch of movies where it's like raining. The main character having an emotional moment at the tombstone. Or talking to the
The
tombstone.
tombstone, yeah. So that could be that happens so many times.
Next one we got there, technology malfunction. That kind of goes along with the one like the phone only works until you don't need it to work.
Yes. Or the car won't start when you need it to start.
Or the computer has a virus and the only person who can find her way around it is the 12-year-old girl. Jurassic Park.
Flashlights go out when it's dark.
That kind of goes with the kids know more than the adults do in the movie.
Yeah.
That cliche.
Yeah, I like they're like I can't get any bars. Like one of these days, I just want somebody to go, "Where's your phone at?" Oh, we got a clear signal. Get some help, goddammit. The horror movie cliches. I love
There's
horror.
only a few of them. I found a website that had 44 of them on there. I just called the.
Well, I like the horror movie cliches though. So like people who are making out. It's sex. Sex is like
Anti-sex.
Sex attracts the killer.
It's the carnal sin. So if you're committing the carnal sin, you're going to get killed. That's why the virginal girl always is last.
Yep, that's the second one on my list.
You guys ever seen Cabin in the Woods?
Is that Jennifer Lawrence?
No, it's you're thinking of Last House on the Left. Cabin in the Woods is Chris Hemsworth. It's one of like his first films.
Okay, yeah.
And it's about like 5 college kids who go to stay at a cabin in the woods, obviously, and they're getting stalked by these like zombies that are trying to kill them. But it's a movie that kind of satirizes the horror movie cliches in that they are part of a human sacrifice to appease these gods who live at the center of the earth. And so there's like this organization of like scientists and other people who are watching them the whole time and kind of like tricking the kids into doing the things that are horror movie cliches in order to appease these gods or something. It's really cool. It's got some cool twists in it. It's funny for a horror film.
It's kind of like Scream is.
Yeah, it's a satire of horror films, but it's written by Joss Whedon.
Oh, cool.
So it has that sort of like Joss Whedon, humor to it.
Right.
Yeah.
Isn't Army of Darkness? What was the one that preceded Army of Darkness? Wasn't that Cabin?
It was Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2.
Evil Dead and okay.
Army of Darkness is part of the Evil Dead series.
Okay.
There was a movie called Cabin.
Which had a montage in it too.
Yes. There was a movie called Cabin Fever.
Maybe that's the one I was thinking of.
That's the one where the kids that are staying there contract like a flesh-eating virus or something.
Right.
There's one scene where the girl's shaving her legs and she starts taking her skin off. That movie freaks me out a little bit.
Yeah.
The girl that does survives is a goody, or she's virginal.
Yes.
And that's the thing with the Cabin in the Woods is each kid is a horror movie trope. So it's like there's the jock, the scholar, the clown, the whore, and the virgin. And the virgin has to be the last one to be killed because that's how the sacrifice works.
That works.
They always split up the party.
Mm-hmm.
It's that commercial where it's like let's go hide behind a chainsaw.
It's awesome.
Why can't we just get into the running car? No, what are you thinking?
Let's hide behind the chainsaws. Quick to the cemetery.
Okay.
The killer never runs.
It never does.
Well, at least especially in those slasher films, because it's like they turn the corner. And
Michael Myers never runs.
I thought Leatherface would run after them.
No, I know at the end of the film, I think he does. Yeah, he chases him with the chainsaw.
Jason never did.
All those like supernatural ones are like Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street. Like that's kind of the thing. Is like, you know, he's behind you, and then you turn the corner, and all of a sudden he's in front of you.
Yep.
Somehow. Anything that subverts that? Can't think of anything off the top of my head. I feel like the horror movies exist because of these cliches.
Yeah.
The police.
Chucky always runs, but he's a little doll.
He's
So.
a doll. It is a Child's Play series on MTV.
No, it's on USA.
Or is it USA?
I thought it was on Sci-Fi. It's on USA.
On USA. I caught a little bit of it, and I'm like, this is weird.
The thing is, it's the same voice who did Chucky from the movies. He's doing the Chucky doll. He's doing the Chucky in the series too.
The original one, because Mark Hamill did it in the reboot.
No, the original.
So it's Brad Dourif.
Ones. Yeah.
Brad Dourif. Brad Dourif was he was on one of the Star Trek shows.
Yeah.
So let's do some like honorable mentions here, I think.
You missed the police always showing up late.
The police always show up late. London is always foggy.
Yep.
I like this one. The cars are never locked and the keys are always there when you need them. Now, how many movies you see? I think of Terminator 2 right away, where he hops in the car and pulls the thing down and the keys fall out.
Yeah.
If you're in Paris,
or everybody knows how to hotwire.
If you're in Paris, you always see the Eiffel Tower, no matter where you're at.
If you're in Paris, you also always have to have a bag of food with you that has a baguette sticking out of it.
If a car is shot, it will explode.
Yeah, if a car shot, explode. The FBI always arrive by helicopter. The bad guy always has an English accent. Unless it's an English film.
Abducted people always call their father, never their mother. The mother would be like, "Oh, sure, yeah. Understandably, not here. You gotta get your ass home."
I got the anti one for that. It's not so much an abduction thing, but it's in The Fifth Element. The mother's always calling them. The biggest soldier will always die first, and the stupidest one will probably survive.
Yeah.
Stolen cars are always fully fueled. Young kids are always smarter than the adults. That's the director of Jurassic Park one.
That's also
Goonies.
That's also Monster Squad, which
Monster Squad.
For Halloween.
I love Monster Squad. Wolfman's got nards. Remote places in the world contain giant versions of animals. Dude, the reboot of King Kong that Peter Jackson did was pretty boring film. But there's one scene on the island where they get attacked by giant insects that just creeps me the fuck out. It's so creepy.
Yeah.
Especially Andy Serkis getting eaten by giant worms.
Yeah.
Zombies are always deceptively rapid walkers.
After sex, women suddenly become coy and cover.
Yeah, it always cover. Or they do the L shape. You ever see the L shape?
Yes.
Where it's like the guy has like the sheets put up to here, and the girl just has her waist covered, but has her arms like here, covering her breasts.
Anything alien turns up on the planet uninvited it's going to kill us all.
Unless it's E.T.
Unless it's E.T.
This is the ultimate one.
This is one I want to see done on like Mythbusters or something. Shooting at a lock with a pistol opens really easily.
Yeah, I know, right? Like that's you always see that.
I would love to see that done on...
hit you in the leg.
Yeah,
love to see that done on Mythbusters.
And it's not always like a master lock either. Sometimes it's like an actual like door, like they shoot, or like in the Star Wars, they shoot the panels that open the doors and close the doors. Like that's how it actually works. The truck is indestructible except for its brakes, which are extremely fragile.
Here's one.
People carry guns. Ammunition is optional.
Here's one. Reading any book aloud usually has catastrophic consequences.
Yeah.
The Mummy.
The Mummy. Never ending story.
Mummy. Princess Bride. Oh.
Princess Bride is the anti one. You said this one, Kev. The car shot will explode.
Yeah.
Horses are immune to bullets and arrows. When people fall from high buildings, they always look back at where they're falling from.
Hans Gruber.
A dam has only one purpose: to break.
To break.
That's Superman the movie. That's X-Men 2.
Here's a James Bond one. 50% of henchmen are mute.
Yeah. And this one's not on the list. This is just one that popped in my head. In every like high school film, you have that group of friends, and there's always that one kid that just doesn't fit in, but he's part of that group for some reason anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Like Finch in American Pie. I just watched American Pie again the other night. Like Finch doesn't fit in with that crew. People who don't know who their parents are will find out that those parents are either rich or royal. Like Princess Diaries.
I love this one. Men will do more for a woman who has divorced them than any other.
Giant mutant creatures always head for downtown locations, presumably the shop.
You go back to Kev's though, like it's like inevitably they end up back together too. Usually,
yeah. I'm collecting her mail and watching her dog while she's out of while she's on her honeymoon with her new husband.
When email arrives, the entire screen of the computer animates as a huge envelope opens.
In a two-cop partnership, only one of them can be streetwise, own a cool car, or have a family.
A theater can only be saved from demolition by staging a musical extravaganza at short notice. That's the movie Sing.
It's the Muppet movie. Wasn't the Muppet movie to save the theater?
Saving the theater.
All Victorian street urchins don't own shoes, but they all have hats.
Spies hide their occupation by driving the most expensive cars, eating in the best restaurants, staying in the most luxurious hotels, and having tailored clothing.
Each small town in America has a bitter and twisted individual whose sporting career was cut short by an unfortunate accident.
Yeah. If you fall from the roof of a moving train, you will inevitably hit a river below. These are some good ones. I like these.
Old men die of heart attacks. Old women die in their sleep.
Yeah. All cops have the right equipment for picking locks.
All superheroes leave a calling card so others don't take credit for their work.
Women reduced to wearing a man's shirt as a dress will always find the right belt to accessorize it with. People falling from high buildings always land on a car. I had Dark Knight. Like, how did she survive that fall?
Yeah.
Let's do one more here.
Here's one. This is a great one. However hard a hero is beaten, he will always ask, "Is that the best you can do?"
Or if you're Captain America, I could do this
all day.
People told to stay somewhere never do.
Yeah,
true.
Yeah.
A person waking up from a nightmare will only have woken up in reality about 10% of the time. Usually, they're still having the nightmare. All the Nightmare on Elm Street movies.
Yeah.
I just thought a Deadpool thing. It has nothing to do with anything, but it just popped in my head and it made me laugh. Fourth wall break inside of a fourth wall break. It's like 16 walls. This is a fun one. Movie cliches.
Yeah.
All right, I'm up. So thank you for joining us this evening for episode 38 of Films and Fermentation Movie Cliches. Please join us for our next episode. It's going to be our last episode till after Thanksgiving. We're going to take a little break for the Thanksgiving holiday. So episode 39 is going to be ad-lib moments that stayed in the film. So some of the greatest moments in film, some of the most memorable moments were moments that weren't even in the script, ad-lib by the actors on the scene. So that is what we're going to be talking about in our next episode. And then after Thanksgiving, we'll be celebrating our 40th episode. I'm hoping by then to actually have our theme song ready to go. Still working on that. So thank you for joining us again for episode 38, Movie Cliches. Remember again to email us at filmsandfermentation@gmail.com. Please give us some suggestions, some drink orders, or if you have any movies you'd like to add to the list that we talked about tonight, please do so. We'd love to hear from you. Check us out on our social media platforms. As I said earlier in the show, we are now on Apple Podcast, as well as Spotify, Stitcher, Spreaker, and a number of other podcast platforms. And you can also watch us on YouTube, watch the live recording of the show. I'm Leo.
I'm Kevin.
I'm Mike.
Thank you again for joining us at the crossroads between pickled and fermented. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.